Hello, hello, hello. It is lunchtime. It is Thursday, and it is time for our noontime lunch and learn with myself, Laquita Mondley. I am the military spouse that provides work from home positions for other military spouses as well as civilians, and my wonderful co host, Miss Adina Collins, who is the finance guru. And today we're coming to you with another wonderful episode of our Lunch and Learn segment where our goal here at our Lunch and Learn is really to help one another build and grow our businesses. If you're saying I don't have a business but I want to start a business, stay tuned. I guarantee you that in some of our Lunch and Learn sessions you'll pick up keys that you need in order to become a successful entrepreneur. And if you're already currently an entrepreneur, again, stay tuned because we will have keys that will help you to continue to scale and grow your business. And during this time that we're experiencing now due to significant closures around the country, we're also dealing a lot with the necessities of business pivoting, what that means, why you want to consider it, and how to sit down and map out what a necessary business pivot might be for you during this time. And today we're talking about business plans. Business plans, business plans, business plans. I know many of us hear that word and we might be like, I don't know. How do I do it? It could be kind of a big undertaking for some people. And some of you watching maybe say, okay, I already have a business plan, so this isn't for me. I guarantee you, you will find out that this episode and our next few episodes are for business owners, no matter where you are in your business plan. So now I'm going to shut up talking and I'm going to just let Adina take over and tell us more about business plans.
Well, hello, everybody. We've made it through another week being sheltered in place. And so just wanted to welcome you again to Create Your Future Self, our Lunch and Learn. It's definitely a pleasure to be back here with you. We were speaking earlier this week, meaning Laquita and I, and we were talking about how a lot of people who may already be in business may need to make some different shifts in their business because so much has changed. And perhaps maybe you've decided now that you've been sheltering in place that you may not necessarily want to offer the same types of services. Or maybe you've been really blessed and you found that you really can go ahead and do more services because you found a new niche, you found a new need to be able to do that. And so this is a great time for current business owners to be able to assess what they do, how they provide what they provide to their clients, and also the types of vendors and suppliers that they may have. And then also, it's a great time for people who are aspiring entrepreneurs. Maybe they haven't launched yet, or they're really kind of in their pre-launch, just launched kind of stage, and you haven't had anything formally written down regarding a business plan. And so let's go ahead and talk about what a business plan is. And so I'm just going to kind of give you the definition that entrepreneur.com says is a business plan. Literally, a business plan is a written document that describes the nature of your business, the sales and marketing strategy, and the financial background and other information that may give more insights in reference to your projected profit and loss statement. So how you make your money, and also how you spend money relating to how you do your business. So that's definitely something that's always of interest. A lot of people wonder, is a business plan really relevant? Do I have to have it? It helps you as the business owner to better define what you do. It also can help you to make sure that you're focusing on the right things, because sometimes we may give a lot of energy, a lot of time and attention to things that really don't matter, or they're no longer relevant anymore. And so it's a great time for you to be able to use it as the business owner, and then also to be able to share that information with your team. Maybe you may have someone else who's helping to be able to support what you do. Well, if they don't understand what the general financial direction is of the company, if they don't understand what your general goals are and how you do what you do, I'm not saying necessarily give away secret sauce, but sometimes you have to be able to share information so that people can really get buy-in and that they can properly support you in what you do. And so the purpose of the business plan is really to be able to define the company's purpose, its vision, and how it operates. So it's defining your company purpose, your vision, and how it operates. And it also gives you a financial roadmap on the current goals of the company and also its future goals and what type of actions that the company will take to be able to reach those goals. So that's the general purpose of the business plan.
So the business plan is really like your roadmap to success. So what your perceived roadmap to success. This is where I see myself starting. This is how we're going to maintain that momentum. And then at the end with our exit strategy, this is the end goal. And so it gives a really good, it's a plan or a roadmap that the business owner can refer to during times of great growth, and then also during times where we're slow or there is no growth. It's also something that is very relevant to financing.
It is.
You're going to look for funding, whatever type of funding you need, whether it is you're going to your traditional banks and lenders, your micro lenders, investors, unless you're going to friends and family that just love you, know you, and trust you. Somebody's going to ask you for your business plan, whether it's wanting $5 or $500,000. And so that business plan is going to be key. And how detailed that business plan is really depends upon your industry and the individual and where you are in your business growth.
That's right. That's right. And a lot of people think that once I write a business plan, that it's something that's just really set in stone, and it's really not. It's a living, breathing document. As I mentioned before, of course, with us now being sheltered in place, you know, it's very, very hard to say sometimes that what I was doing pre-shelter in place may still be relevant. It may be that you've had to change. You've had to do those business pivots, as we've been talking about for the last week or so, that I've had to make certain type of changes. I still may do a little bit of what I did before, but I may have had to supplement. I may have had to augment. I may have had to increase or pull back a little bit and be able to go in a little bit of a different direction to be able to make sure that I'm keeping my business afloat. And so that's definitely something that that you want to know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. You know, I remember, I think you and I talked about it when me and my husband first got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, if I can say it like that. One of the first courses that we took was on how to build a business plan. We had an idea of what we wanted to do. We knew it was viable. We knew it worked because we've seen it work numerous times in the past in every place that we have been. But we didn't know how to get there. We knew what we wanted to do. We had what we thought was a plan. Let me put it like every entrepreneur has what they think is a plan. And so when we went to looking at how to even begin what we mapped out as a plan, that's where we realized, okay, what's this business plan? How do we do it? And the more we did research, the more overwhelmed we became. But oh my God, I don't understand these facts, figures, where I'm going to get this information from, what is an analysis and how do I do it? So many different things. And so we got overwhelmed and we were going to walk away from it, the business plan part of it. We were still intent to do the business. We were just going to do it without it.
Right.
So someone told us about, and we were at this time, we were stationed here at Fort Hood. And someone told us about going down to our local Texas Workforce Center. And inside the Texas Workforce Center, there's a department called the Business Resource Center. And that Business Resource Center is there because of our local Chamber of Commerce. And it is especially designed to help entrepreneurs wherever you are on your stage. And they had a class. We signed up for the class, and the class was how to build your business plan.
Yes.
And it met every evening for about 3-4 weeks. And at the end, we had a working business plan. And the fun part of it was we got to the class, each portion of the how to write the plan, each portion of the plan was taught by an expert in that area.
Oh, good.
So all of the students, we had different ideas about what we wanted. We had those industry experts that were there to help us do that piece. And it made it a less daunting task. when we left. We had the plan, and most importantly, we had the network and the connections that's necessary for successful entrepreneurship. So
Yes.
don't let the need of a business plan overwhelm you to the point where you agree or you say within yourself, okay, I'm not going to do it. It's not necessary.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it can get so overwhelming because there are so many different moving pieces. And so the good thing is that like y'all did, you ended up pacing yourself and you
Mm.
knew, hey, listen, maybe I can take a little bit now, I can take a little bit later and just keep moving towards being able to get to that end result. And so there's that's good. That is definitely a good thing. Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like, especially when there's pressure, that's there, and people are just kind of thinking, oh, okay, well, I've got to get everything done right now. They're looking for this, they're looking for that. You take your time. This is the perfect time, especially since we are sheltering in place, to be able to do that research, to be able to get clear on what type of services, what types of products that you're offering, and to be able to just go ahead and write it up. And no one's necessarily critiquing you at this point. It's better for you to be able to have some great sound things that are written down.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you can always seek out help in reference to being able to fine tune and make sure, from a grammatical standpoint, also from a clarity standpoint, am I being clear enough? Am I being concise enough? Not too overwhelming, but not too vague either. So just being able to kind of write, kind of walk that fine line. And so um, now that we know what a business plan is and what the purpose of it is, a lot of people wonder, well, why is it important? I always thought of a business plan as being really kind of like your business passport. It allows you to be able to travel. It allows you to be able to go into rooms sometimes that you never anticipated that you were going to be able to go into,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a passport is literally just saying, hey, I'm a real person. I have an identity. And now I have the right to be able to travel across these different borders. And so that's why I thought about a business plan kind of being like your business passport. It's going to allow you to be able to go into different industries. It may allow you to be able to tap into potential and future clients. It could help you also to be able to deal with different vendors and contractors that may be essential to your business. And so it's going to allow you to be able to explore growth opportunities. It's going to help management, yourself and anyone else that's helping you to manage your company, to be able to kind of guide your business decisions, again, based on how you write that business plan and what types of things you're choosing to focus on regarding being able to move forward, projects, goods and services that you may be providing. It's going to help you to be able to narrow that focus. It's going to provide clarity regarding your business operations. You're going to know specifically in that business plan, this is what we do and this is what we don't do. And so, that is definitely helpful, not only internally, but if you cast this really broad and wide net, then too many other people are going to be super confused and say, well, I don't know. It's kind of like going to, say, if you ended up having a toothache, perhaps you could go to a general dentist, but what happens if you actually do need a root canal? You're going to need to go to the dentist who's an endodontist, who is the root canal specialist. You don't want to just go to a general person. And the same thing when people are looking in from the outside and they want to know specifically
Mm-hmm.
how you may be able to help them to solve a problem and what type of solutions that you're bringing. So again, it's really helping you to be able to define what your business operations are. And then also it's helping your company to be able to meet its short-term and long-term goals. The business plan can have short-term and long-term goals included in it. Maybe your short-term goal was to be able to potentially enter into one or two markets. And you said, well, you know what, by the end of 24 months, this is, what we intended to be able to do. And then after those 24 months, we would like to be able to maybe expand into 5 or more markets. But this is how we're going to stagger how we get there. And so that is a great thing. Again, it's kind of helping you to focus. And of course, we know your goals may change over time, especially when you have situations like this where no one was really anticipating nearly a complete economic shutdown. However, it's a great time to be able to think, let's analyze, let's review, let's see, what these different opportunities are and see if this is only something that could be available just as we're going through shelter in place, or is this something that we could actually continue to use beyond that, whether it's in the short term or in the long term. So, that's definitely something. Did you have something? Sorry, I know I've been speaking a lot, but
No. But it's good to be able to bring the clarity into what it is and why we need it. And
yes,
because if you don't fully understand the purpose of a thing, then we'll misuse it, abuse it, or we won't use it at all.
yes,
And so understanding the purpose of your business plan actually helps you better get through each portion of it.
yes,
When you understand why I need the document, what the document is, and why I need the document, and what that document can do for me. I loved the way you said that it was a passport that can get you into some places that you've never been before, because it truly does. I know a lot of people who started their businesses without a business plan and then developed the plan along the way. And especially, again, specifically towards funding, if I can, towards funding or partnerships, investors, they're going to ask for a business plan. And without it, you won't get through that door.
yes,
They really want to see you and really like what you're doing, but they're really going to want to see your business plan and your financials. And so to be able to produce those documents will get you in spaces with the people who you need for your next stage of growth and development.
absolutely.
Depending on what you're doing in your business, you may need those documents to even begin the journey.
Absolutely.
On good sound footing. You may need that to begin the journey on good sound footing. And that's what places like the Small Business Administration and other organizations and individuals such as yourself come into place. If, like, when we found the task of creating a business plan overwhelming, it was at that point that we had to make a decision. I can't do everything. And I recognize my weakness. And we recognize the fact that, so my husband was like, babe, can you do it? Because I don't have time to do it. He's a full-time soldier.
Right.
And at that time, we were at the height of a conflict being fought on both fronts, Afghanistan and Iraq. He's like, I don't have time to do it. But can you do it? And I looked at it, it's like, I tried, but no, I can't do it. So what do? Right. I began to look for people who could do it.
Yes.
I began to look for people who could do it. And then just transparency. I began to look for people who could do it and that I could afford.
Yeah.
Because not every person that can do it is within your budget. And so you want to be realistic. And also, just because they charge a lot doesn't mean they do the best job.
Absolutely. That is very true.
That they do the best job. That means you're just paying for their brand. And that's what they feel their quality of work is about. And nothing's wrong with that. But that doesn't mean that at all. The program that we utilized to create that first business plan was very cost effective. Very, very cost effective for us. And I believe that it was the best choice we could have made at that time. Sitting in the seat where I am now and looking back, having a clear picture, that writing, being a part of that group, not only taught me how to write a business plan, but it taught me the necessities of networking and what it meant to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I began to look for people who could do it. Very cost effective for us. And I believe that it was with that, I remember writing the plan and we got to the marketing piece. And that was the first time I understood the difference between branding, marketing, and advertising. I had no idea there were three different things.
Yes. Yes.
And we got to that part and I was preparing for it the day before and I was overwhelmed. Like, wow. Because I thought advertising was just, all of that. And
it's not. Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. And so it's great to have someone to do it for you. For me, I love the fact that I was able to be a part of it, the process.
Yes. And a lot of people end up kind of missing that. It's like, oh, okay, well, they're just going to do everything for me. And you really want to be able to find someone who is doing it with you. So, here's the thing. This is, again, your business passport. You don't want somebody who's going to 100% do it for you, and then you get your finished product and you look back and you're like, that's not what I wanted. So you really need to be able to choose that done with you. Maybe
Mhm.
they may ask you to provide certain information that obviously they could not,
Mhm.
because you have more information on hand in reference to, how creative, how innovative that your company may be, and they may not know the specifics about your industry. Well, obviously, they're going to need your help to be able to help write that. But then also, they're going to need you to be able to provide also that personal touch, so
Right.
that it's not just this bland vanilla company.
Mhm.
You, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because when you use that passport to get into the spaces that you want to get into, you're then going to have to be able to articulate what's in that document.
yes,
And if
yes,
you don't understand what's in the document, then, just because I have it and just because I have the passport to get into the country doesn't mean I can fully enjoy everything that's in that new country if I have
no,
no idea
yes,
what I'm doing.
yes, exactly, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of got into it a little bit, but let's go ahead and just talk about some of the other people that would use your business plan.
Okay.
You actually did mention, potential future business partners. So here's the thing: you may not necessarily start real small. You may actually have people that are already interested because you provide something of value, and they definitely see the interest in it, not only from a financial standpoint, but perhaps maybe y'all have the same type of vision and the same type of mission.
Hmm.
So if you do have a business partner that's coming to the table, they're going to want to know what's in it for me. But
Hmm.
then also too, they before they begin to start investing monies or time or resources to you, they need to know, what is your vision,
Hmm.
what is your plan for this, because I need to also to determine whether or not this is just going to be um, short term, long term, or potentially could it grow into something even greater than
Yeah.
what we, initially thought that it would be. So let's talk about also some of your suppliers. Here's the thing: if you have been dubbed a supplier, and you were a reseller for a particular company, they need to know what your plan is and how you would best fit in to their company structure.
Mhm.
So I have a client that is an authorized reseller of specific products for Microsoft. Before Microsoft would even begin to go ahead and add him on as a reseller, they needed to be able to see his business plan. They needed to know whether or not, even though he's also a tech company, they needed to be able to determine whether or not his type of tech fit in with what they were looking for. And so if he was, and thankfully he was able to go ahead and create the partnership, but they also needed to know, outside of doing business with us, what else are you doing?
Mhm.
What else are you bringing to the table? And how do we see how you fit in with what we're, doing?
Yeah.
And whether or not the type of service that you provide would also represent our brand, since you are our reseller. So you also have to think about that. So sometimes, suppliers, obviously they are supplying him with equipment that he is reselling, but
Mhm.
you also have to be able to be cognizant of that, because we're all in relationship with one another. But then we need to understand, what are your core values? What are you doing? How do you provide what you provide? And are you a viable potential long-term company?
Company.
That's something that, people would definitely want to know. You did mention already in reference to lenders. I would definitely say banks as well as private investors want to be able to see this
Yeah.
business plan. Why is it important? It helps you to make sure, it helps them to be able to determine that you are actually a legitimate business. Besides, of course, being able to show your financials, that you have put in thought, you have put in effort in reference to being able to convey who you are. So sometimes that business plan not only acts as your passport, but it
Mhm.
can also act as a business resume, if you will, too, because you can also talk about some of your past performance that you've done with other clients, whether it ends up being small or it ends up being large. And so you have other things that you're integrating into that business plan that shows, hey, we've got the goods, we can definitely deliver. This is what, we are capable of doing. Um, Again, we were talking about current and future business investors, and that's why I said that the business plan really is a living, breathing document.
Mhm.
You don't want to, every year I would definitely say, let's take a look at this business plan. Let's see if it's still relevant. Let's see if it still matches what we're currently doing, because sometimes we can get so caught up in just the regular day to day and the business operations, and we got to make it work and making sure that we're serving the clients, that we forget to go back and say, oh yeah, we did add this service. We are now doing this. And so, it's just a great time for management, as well as, those who support you, to be able to get together and make sure that this is still representative of who we are, what we're doing, and how we are able to bring our goods and services to market. Um, then also, one other thing that a lot of small business owners don't always think about is when it's time for you to consider potentially exiting. What do I mean? You may decide that you want to exit your company. Some entrepreneurs are like, I'm never, ever, ever going to sell my business. This is my baby. I birthed it. Well, what happens if you may happen to get a really large conglomerate that makes you that so-called offer that you just can't refuse?
Refuse.
you know and it happens to be the right time, it happens to be the right opportunity for you, and you feel like, in selling, that you feel like, the level of service, as well as, your employees, and the mission of what you created would still be able to live on, but maybe be able to reach a broader audience.
Mhm.
When it's time for you to exit, sell, perhaps you may decide that you want to be able to take your company from being just a privately held company to potentially having multiple owners. This is the perfect time to make sure that that business plan is indeed updated, because they're going to want to know, well, listen, if we are going to become stakeholders in your company, or if we're going to buy the company from you, we need to make sure that we fully understand what's going on, what the current operations are, because if it's going to be a true acquisition and they're going to continue the operations of that company, they have to know how you do what you do. They need to know the types of suppliers, contractors that you're working with, what markets that you're in, how you effectively deliver your services, how people know about your services, through advertising, through social media, through, other types of things. And so that's one thing that you definitely, another reason why it's so important, because again, it will, that particular business passport, if you will, may be able to help you to be able to negotiate the right type of deal
Yeah.
when it is time for you to be able to exit, stage left, and wave goodbye.
I really love how you brought out the fact that a business plan is a living, breathing document. It's
It
something that
is.
is not set in stone,
Yes.
because growth means growth, right?
Yes.
Growth means growth. And so if my company is growing and expanding, my products and services are growing and expanding, then my plan has to grow and it has to expand.
Yes.
It has to be reflective of what I'm currently doing, where I started, where I am now, and my projections for my future, as well as, and that we talked about that earlier this week on the necessities of not being so rigid,
Yes.
you know, not being super rigid in what and how and we can look at some of our major fast food chains in other places. All of us can think back, when we were a kid, what did the menu look like? It was no
Mhm.
menu. What are you talking about? You get
Right.
99 cents or a dollar or whatever,
Right.
no meal deals,
Yes. Yes.
you got
Yes.
what you got, right?
Right.
But it grew, it expanded. And most of the major companies and the brands that we know, love, and trust, they've grown, they've expanded, and I guarantee you their business plans have expanded to reflect that.
Yes.
Also, that exit strategy as well. are we going to sell to this big conglomerate? Are we going and we don't realize that oftentimes as the average consumer that some company that we know, love, and trust has actually been bought out by a bigger company, because the bigger company simply didn't change the brand would have lost the sale. So I left that right there for you to see it and love it and trust it, but I own it.
Right. Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
but that was still a part of that company's exit strategy. They put those things in place. And even when we talk about exit strategy, being bought out by another company, selling your business, that's one aspect. But what about the strategy for succession as being a part? Because when I'm grooming this baby, I'm growing it, and I'm not going to live always.
Right.
So what is my plan for succession? Who's going to take over when I'm no longer here? And at what point am I going to, begin to transition myself out and put that person in leadership, give them more and more authority? That's a necessary piece as well.
It is. It really is. A lot of people don't think about it. They just say, well, when I get there. Well, now's the time to be able to think about at what point, at what age, at what stage do you want to start beginning to do the succession plan? And here's the thing. If it's a family-owned business or not, everyone needs that succession plan. And of course, the business plan can help to facilitate that succession plan. And so the thing is that, there are certain components of the business plan, which we can get into in just a second, which actually define who does what role, who's responsible for this or that. And so I would really say that as succession plans begin, that you go ahead and you revisit that business plan, because if anything should change, perhaps even as succession planning has happened, who knows, you may decide that either you want to increase services, you may want to decrease services. You may decide that, your current CFO will continue on, or maybe there's going to be a replacement. The same thing for obviously CEOs and, other key positions that are within the company. You have to be able to reflect that in your current business plan, and also, again, be able to determine whether or not these same goods and services are going to continue to happen, or if there may be other things that you want to be able to do as the succession planning happens and as responsibilities begin to be handed off. And also that, there is some level of agreement in reference to whether or not we're going to expand how we deliver services, who we deliver services to, and the methods, that we're able to let people know that we exist, and how we can continue to get great feedback, in reference to what we're doing, and whether or not, this company is still relevant, to the public. And so that's definitely, something that would be a wonderful thing. Thank you for bringing up succession planning, because so many people don't think about it, unfortunately, until key players are sick, or they end up passing away, or people retire.
Yeah.
They've sometimes people, because of necessity, medical necessity, sometimes have to retire, or they just have to leave because it's a better situation for them, in a more moderate climate, and so a lot of people may not necessarily want to continue it. Thankfully, yes, we can do a lot of virtual, running of our businesses, but it's not always a guarantee. And also too, people just get tired, they've done some things for 20, 30, 40 plus years, and they're just ready to start letting go, of some of the normal responsibilities. And so, yes, that's a great way to be able to make sure that you're beginning to do succession planning even through your business plan. Yeah, because people would want to know that. And here's the thing, if you know that there's going to be a major change, say within 5 years, and you're getting ready to go for bank loan funding, they're going to probably ask you, hey, what's going to be the leadership of this company? Do you still anticipate that the same leaders will still be in place? And if you say no, because someone has already stated and meant it that they were getting ready to transition out, then the bank or the private investor is going to want to know, well, what's the succession plan? So that's great. That is a great point. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up.
We see it all the time. We see it all the time in the top performing companies in the stock market. Our publicly traded companies, our big companies that everybody, if I say a name, anybody around the world will know that name. We think that when those companies when you're looking at any financial news, you don't even have to look at financial news. If a company like Microsoft changes leadership, Apple, Comcast, our big conglomerates that, worldwide, T-Mobile, and these things, they begin to change leadership. It affects the price of their stock. Why? Because investors have to believe and trust that the person that is taking over the helm of that company is going to be able to drive that company in the right direction. So is my money good?
Right. Absolutely.
Is my money going to grow the way that it's growing, or am I at risk? So, but that isn't just applicable to large companies. It's applicable to small companies. Like when you were sharing with Vic and I about the barbecue place that went out of business because somebody didn't give up the sauce recipe.
Right.
Because different things were not in place. We've all gone to our favorite mom and pop place. And when the cook, who fired the cook? Where she at? Where he at?
Yes.
This is not right. I know I'm in the right building.
Right.
Who made this? Because my regular person
did not make it. No.
We experience that on a smaller level, but we don't really think about it. Yes. As the average consumer. So now, as a business owner, and that really is regardless of what your industry is, when key leadership changes take place, or key position, it doesn't even have to be leadership, key positions change. Yes. If in the restaurant industry, your cook is more important than your owner.
A good cook will keep a restaurant in business, and a bad one will kill it quickly.
Yes.
Quickly.
A good cook and wait staff.
Yes.
You can have all the money in the world as the owner, but if you don't have the right people, and then when those people are ready to move on, succession plans.
Yes.
That's still a part of it. Like, who is that cook training to take his place? Who is that waitress, training to take their place? So it's right. Relevant in every area. And so my next question is talking about that. When we were talking about having the succession plan in place, and you were saying that having it defined, the roles clearly defined, would you say that the best place to begin that would be with actually the creation of the company, when you're putting together the board members and who's doing what, when, where, and how?
It's great to be able to have a general idea. And even if you don't have a formal board of directors, then perhaps you could even have an advisory board. Mm-hmm. It would be great if you could have both initially, but we know, listen, we decided we wanted to be able to launch this business. We just needed to be able to get things up and running. It's going to be necessary, obviously, as you continue to keep moving forward. Yes. But in reference to some of those key positions, yes, people will want to see who's on your board in the business plan. But then too, maybe you haven't gotten big enough to be able to have a chief marketing officer. Maybe you are not big enough to have started getting someone who's going to be a chief financial officer, or someone who's going to be your chief information officer, your chief IT person. So sometimes it's not always readily available, but again, as you begin to evolve, this is a great time to, again, thankfully, this business plan is a living, breathing document as you begin to add on more people, or perhaps you may have a director of sales, you may have a director of, specific marketing, social media, whatever it may be. Those are still key positions that people would still want to know about. And in particular, other people who are actually selling goods and services, who's actually going to be, especially if you're in repairs, who is going to be that chief facilitation, officer, who's going to be that chief person who is going to be responsible. If I do have to say, if I'm running a garage, who's going to be that sales, that service manager. That's a key position that people don't think about. Not only the people who are making the sales, up front, but who is actually running that garage in the back, because they are super, super critical. To that. And so, and of course, fault will lie. If we get the service wrong, then we know that there's going to be a whole lot of liability. So, they're going to want to know, hey, who supervised all of this and who was responsible and, who did all of the quality, control work and, the review of that. People are just going to want to know.
It's funny that you use that as an example, because my husband is a car nut. Like, that's him all day, every day. I think the man dreams about it. But when he's not around, so if we're looking at mechanic shops to where I'm going to be able to take our vehicles to when he's not around, then I remember my husband's baby is his BMW. It's a BMW 750, and that's just, that's his love of his life, right? So he gives me this list of instructions on where to take his car and who to take his car to. And so the first time I had to take the car, they pulled up, they recognized the car. And it was really funny because he had done just that. He had went in, talked to the service manager, had a rapport with the service manager. Even like I have a Tahoe. I drive big trucks. The same way at the GMC dealership. Like, this same guy has been working at that GMC dealership over 20 years, and he has dealt with all of our cars. I go to that one service manager and his specific mechanic. Same thing with the BMW. That one guy, that one service manager at that place, and then that one mechanic, because he wants to know who to hold responsible.
That's right.
For what happens to the vehicle.
Absolutely.
And those people are the face of those shops. Like, they're not the only ones, but they're the face of those shops, right? And if they were not there, I know my husband isn't the only car enthusiast that does this. So if they were to do something wrong, or if they were to retire or leave or something, it would greatly impact those businesses. And like, those are key positions. Like, who is going to take over once those people leave? Because somebody might decide, oh, I'm not doing this. I don't know these people. I'm not bringing my car back.
Right. Absolutely. And it makes a difference. Yeah. It makes a huge difference, longevity, as well as the customer service. And, even talking about the restaurant example, here's the thing. We know that if you're a cook, I know I am, if you're a cook and you have a very sensitive palate, again, you can immediately tell, this really isn't the same person. I can tell that someone else made this particular dish. It is lighter, it's heavier, it's whatever it may be. And so, one of the key things is it's not just in the preparation, but it's also in the technique of how things are delivered and how things are done. And so if you're also not making sure that as part of that succession plan, which can be tied back into the business plan, if you're not making sure that it's the same type of techniques in ways that things are being done, methods that are being done, that makes a huge difference, especially when you're talking about physical products, that are being sold, but certainly even for intangibles, like for the services that I provide, when it's time for me to go ahead and add on additional people that will be able to sell what I do, they can't have a nasty attitude. They have to have a specific approach. I'm expecting a certain amount of follow-up within this amount of time. These are the expectations that are set. And so sometimes, again, we can get a little lazy and comfortable because so-and-so has been here for years and years and they're not going anywhere. Well, now, if anything, COVID-19 has taught all of us to expect the unexpected.
Unexpected. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a comment here from Miss Valerie. She says that she'll be 65 and she was a professional jazz singer in the 80s and 90s, planning to buy property in Hawaii. It's crucial to have a plan from promoting my art, including contracts, legal advice, and absolutely not having the spirit of fear. She thanks us for the info. She's always been her own manager, and laws have changed in doing her own research. Another comment. Wait a minute. Have changed and due to her own research. She would love to have you give her some advice, Miss Adina.
Okay, I'm not sure where to begin. That was a really, really long comment, Miss Valerie, but I'm not sure where to begin on that one. But I would probably say, in reference to some of your newer endeavors that you're doing, again, take a look at what you would like to do, who you'd like to serve. And so actually, this will be a great segue for us to be able to start getting into what's included in a business plan. How about that? And that may actually help to answer your question, Miss Valerie. Well, in a business plan, there's one of the first things that's going to be reviewed is what's called an executive summary. And
Mm.
so, literally, that is just a 1 to 2 page summary of the entire content within your business plan. So, again, it's a very brief synopsis, a very broad overview of what your business plan is. But included in your business plan is going to be a brief history of your company. Uh, what's your company name? When was it established? And what types of services do you provide? The next thing, as we were talking about in reference to leadership and some of these key positions, is it's going to be a listing of your company's team and their roles. So who does what, and it may also give a little bit in reference to their educational background, how long they've been doing things, or perhaps which schools that they may have graduated from. The next thing is it's going to give a description of your company's products and services, and also your product listing. Now, I know that sometimes we may end up offering different bundles of services. You can give a general, idea. It may not be, something that's specific and exact. And of course, we know also too, because of COVID-19, especially if you're selling physical products, your prices may have had to increase since the last time that you had something that was published. And so you can give a general idea of what those prices are. But of course, when people engage you directly, you can go ahead and say, well, yes, that may have been what's listed in the business plan, but we have made some economic adjustments, and this is our, true cost. Next, they're going to want to know some really detailed descriptions on how your company sells and markets to its customers. So you may have something like direct sales where you are literally going in, you may have had a brick and mortar where people are literally coming physically into a brick and mortar store to be able to receive your goods and services. Perhaps you've done online where you've created maybe an Etsy shop, or you ended up doing something through Shopify, or even selling through Amazon. They're going to want to know, hey, this is how we are able to get our goods and services to market. For someone like me, yes, I do a lot of referral, business as well in reference to tax and business coaching and things like that. But then also, how do I get my information out to market? Well, obviously it's through, places like this, as well as being able to let people know through other social media channels like LinkedIn, like Facebook and Instagram, to let people know, hey, this is what we have. These are the particular things that are going on. And that's how I'm able to be able to target people who I believe may be interested in knowing more about what I do. So, how you're choosing to market, are you doing ads? Are you running ads in specific trade magazines? Are you doing ads? Maybe you're a travel agent, perhaps you're going to pair up with an airline. And you may say, well, hey, listen, I know that y'all publish these monthly, things. I may want to do this. Or perhaps you're working with other people, maybe within your own travel and tourism area. Sometimes different hubs have different convention and tourism things. And maybe you may want to get listed in, Visit Dallas. Maybe you may want to get listed in all of these other things. So again, you have to be thinking, I may be running online ads. I may be running print ads. I may do radio. Some people still do use radio. Maybe you may end up doing a YouTube ad. You just never know. So these are the specific types of things that people who are reviewing your business plan are going to want to know. Hey, how are you marketing? How frequently do you do it? And just kind of knowing that it's not giving away a whole lot of information, but again, just having enough to be able to tell people, hey, this is how we're able to reach and to be able to sell.
Now that part of the business plan, I'll say this, especially for the solopreneur. That is the part of the business plan. If you're not paying attention to any of the piece, you need to be deeply involved in that piece.
Yes.
And why am I saying that? Because if people do not know you're in business, they will not visit your business, whether it's a product or service. Also, if you're not spending enough money in that area to let people know you're in business, it will come back to bite you in a very, very, very bad way. I was last year, I was co-office sharing a space with a coffee shop here in town. and the owner spent $10,000+ on product on top of everything else that she had. And she had an excellent product because I love coffee. She had an excellent product, but it hurt her because her business, she didn't allot enough money in her business plan for her branding, her marketing, and her advertising to reach the demo, to reach what she wanted. Her location was even a great location. But because in her marketing plan, it included things like signage. If you're having a brick and mortar, it includes things like signage. What type of signage am I going to have? What kind of permits do I need to have? How much? All of these costs. And if you were marketing online, like what Adina was saying, what social media platforms are you going to focus on?
Yes.
It talks about that. What is it going to cost you to consistently market on those social media platforms? How many ads do you need to be running on Facebook at any time? How many ads do you need to be running on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, any of these platforms that you're using? If you have a face on all of those, how much is that costing you monthly, and who's going to run that?
Right.
And
Absolutely.
how much are you going to pay for them to run that for you and to create the flyers that you need to go out? So again, pay close attention. If you don't pay attention to anything else, I want you to pay attention to all of it, but pay especially a close attention to this particular portion of your plan, because it can literally make or break you in a very short amount of time.
And I wanted to be able to encourage, especially newer entrepreneurs or even aspiring entrepreneurs. Here's the thing. A lot of times for the first 1 to 3 years, we are definitely cash strapped. So I don't want you to feel like, oh my goodness, I don't have an advertising budget, I can't move this. But again, you can say we have a plan towards doing this. We have created specific pages. That's a great start.
Yeah.
I've created specific pages. I have these ongoing relationships where I am able to speak about the goods and services that I provide through podcasts, through, other types of media where people are aware of who you are and what services that you provide and how to be able to get to you. Your website. Don't forget your website, y'all. Now I know a lot of people are not always looking at it, but of course that is one of the chief means that a lot of people found out how you do what you do and how sometimes they're even able to find you. Yelp, Google ads, all types of other services. So just be, keeping that in mind. And again, even if you don't immediately have advertising dollars, you still have to be able to say, I am present on these particular platforms. I am working towards building up an ad budget, a marketing budget of blah, 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 towards this. And this is how we're going to, begin to start attracting our ideal clients. So that's definitely something you want to have in mind. And thank you, Laquita. That is very true. It is extremely important. And again, it's going to, having this information in your business plan is going to help you to be able to know specifically who you're looking for, how they spend, how their activity is. And so if you know that you have clients that specifically really are more geared towards Facebook, of course, you're going to do more of your marketing towards Facebook versus any other, type of, spend. But again, it's going to take some analysis. It's going to take a little bit of research for you to be able to find out, but it's not hard to be able to do it. But again, this is a living, breathing document. And so as you begin to make changes, as you begin to make updates, again, you may be able to continue to add on to more and more channels so people can know, that you exist and be able to reach them.
It was working on this part of the document that really made me my brain start to turn on targeting. Who is my target market? And a lot of people say, I want everybody's money. Don't we all want everybody's money? But we can't just market to everybody. That's a lot of money.
Right.
So it really made me begin to really specifically target, because for that marketing and advertising to be effective, you've got to target specific people. And so again, be involved in this particular portion of your business plan. It's really vital. It will help you. It'll help get those creative juices flowing, so that you can get things going in the right direction.
Absolutely. It's going to give you great clarity. And one of the other things that you have to keep in mind as well, and this is going to help you inside of the business plan and also outside. What makes your company, what makes you as an individual, if you are a solopreneur, what competitive edge do you have over other people?
Mm-hmm.
This is a critical part of the business plan, because this is going to help you to distinguish who you are in the market, because remember, there's other people, more than likely, most of the time, we're not going to be sole source, meaning we're the only alternative. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you do insurance, maybe, with me dealing with tax and, with business coaching and other elements of business advisory services. I'm not the only one that provides this. So what makes me stand out? Well, listen, I have 20 plus years of accounting and finance experience. I've had the opportunity to be able to work in the public sector as well as in the private sector. I've had a chance to be able to work with educational institutions. I have specific skills. I have an MBA. I have all of these different things. But it's not just about the educational things. Think about your skilled staff. Maybe you may have staff that is extremely skilled in STEM related things, science, technology, engineering, math. Perhaps you may have patents, on specific inventions. This is a competitive edge. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe you may have extremely innovative products and services. Think about it now. Think about Zoom right now. So, Zoom, the conferencing technology. This is a huge competitive edge. Everyone is
Everybody is on
using
Zoom
it.
these
It
days.
was usually only used just for business purposes, but now the schools are using it. The teachers are able to communicate back with the district and with their own leadership, within the school districts. Universities are now starting to use Zoom to be able to teach online classes.
Mhm.
This is a huge competitive edge because they already had a great market. Now, I'm not, we're not going to talk about some of the other issues that may go along with it, but again, they already knew that they already had some headway into
Mhm.
specific industries, and when something like the shelter in place ended up happening, everybody rushed to it because we can't see each other, we can't communicate face to face without, taking a potential chance of being sick. So you were really being able to cultivate that competitive edge over time. But now it's almost kind of like, okay, I'll probably date myself a little bit. Do you remember when Xerox first came out? And people were beginning to kind of move from that old kind of carbon copy type of thing, where you literally did have the carbon copies in between, and you tore off the pink copy, you tore off the yellow copy, you tore off the white copy. Well, once Xerox came along, they really kind of eliminated some of those multi-part
Copies.
type of copies, and now you can just free run and do that. Well, here's the thing. Xerox got so good and they were the market leader in doing that, that people didn't say, I want a copy of it, I want it
On
Xerox.
Xerox.
Look
Yep.
at what Google has done in reference to even being able to be used as a search engine. No one says, oh, I'm just going to get on and I'm just going to
I
search that.
Google
They
it.
say, let me Google it.
Do you remember Ask Jeeves? Like, does anybody remember Ask Jeeves? It was a search platform.
Oh, yes, yes. It didn't last too long, but
Jeeves had a little bag, a little suitcase, and he was gone.
yes, yes, Jeeves was gone and Google, just took it,
Gone.
from there. But you have to be thinking about that, and again, what makes you have advantages over your competitors, and so again, it may be skilled staff, it could be your patents, it could be trademarks, it could be copyrights, it could be, again, other innovative products and services that help you to be able to provide what you provide to the public and also to your ongoing loyal customer base. And the last thing that you want to make sure that you have correct in reference to your business plan is you need to make sure that you at least have 3 to 5 year financial projections. And the types of projections that people are going to be looking at is your projected sales, expenses, and also for your financial statements. So for your financial statements in particular, they're going to want to look at the projections regarding your profit and loss statement and also your balance sheet. So the profit and loss statement is literally just showing, these are our sales figures, these are our expenses, these are our operating expenses, these are the types of taxes that we anticipate being able to pay. Maybe you've borrowed, they want to know how much you're going to repay in principal and in interest. That's the type of stuff that they're going to want to see on that profit and loss statement. And then on the balance sheet, that's literally saying, this is what we have in assets, this is what we have in liabilities. Maybe for some of you who have decided to go ahead and issue stock, they're going to want to see, hey, what type of stock have you offered? Even if it's privately held, that's what they're going to want to see. And so if that is something that you think you may, have a need of, that is something that my company does. So we do actually help business owners in reference to making sure that they do have those 3 to 5 year financial projections right. I have been able to work with other clients that have gone for business investor funding. And so they want to be able to see the business plan. And of course, those 3 to 5 year projections will be a part of the business plan, but then sometimes they also want to see it separately. But just keep that in mind. And again, that's why I say that this business plan is a living, breathing document. It's got to be updated, periodically. And so again, as you begin to add on products and services, or perhaps you begin to start scaling back and you focus on only the ones that you feel like would be relevant and also profitable, then that's what you want to be able to reflect, on those business projections.
Wow. Awesome. This has been a great show. No worries, people. We will be back again on Thursday, and we'll wrap up our conversation, or continue on our conversation on the business plan, and going maybe a little bit more in depth on each segment of the business plan and what actually is in each section of the business plan, to help give you guys a good idea of either how to get started, or if you're working on it and say, okay, you know what, Laquita and Adina, I know I need to change some things. Stay tuned this coming Thursday. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. We're going to get in detail. So we look forward to seeing you guys at that time. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about business plan, business pivoting, anything business, go out to our comment section, leave a comment, ask a question. We'll be reviewing them over the course of the week. And again, we'll either address them there in that moment, or we'll address them live on Thursday, because we'll be back. Today is Thursday. We'll be back on Tuesday. The days running together.
No, next Thursday we actually have a special guest on Tuesday. So next Thursday we'll be back for part 2 of the business plan.
We'll be back for part 2 of the business plan. And so get your question together. Grab out your business plans. If you have business plans, grab your business plans. Sit with us and let's talk about how we can improve the business plan. What is it? If you're saying, okay, I've already pivoted, or I'm thinking about pivoting, get out your business plan and let's talk about it. This is an interactive discussion. So we welcome your questions. We welcome your comments. We welcome your input. And if you like what you hear, please like and share this broadcast across Facebook, across YouTube, across Periscope and Twitter. Like and share this broadcast. Subscribe to our channels. If you have questions, don't hesitate to contact us, whether it's on our websites or here on our social media. Reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to connect with you and get those questions answered. I don't write business plans, so don't ask me that question. Ask that to Adina. Reach out to Adina. She can answer all of your questions about business plan. I love mine. I did it. But if I need another one, I'm going to ask Adina. So don't ask me. Ask Adina. Ask the one who knows how to get it done. I just know that I need it. I know what benefits it brings to me. And I want to encourage all the business owners or potential business owners that follow us. Look, we like to have fun, but we are talking about serious topics because we do want to see each other succeed. And in that success, it's all about, if you can't have fun while you're succeeding, then don't do it. We're all about having fun and making difficult topics meaningful and humorous so we can walk through them together. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Miss Adina, do you have anything else for us?
No, I'm just definitely looking forward to being able to follow up in reference to the business plan creation. And definitely send us your questions, and please feel free to reach out, and we'll be glad to address your questions and concerns.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, you guys, please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for sharing your lunch hour with us. And we'll be back on Tuesday with a very special guest. So stay tuned for that. I know that you guys are going to love it. You're going to love it. But until next time, this is Laquita. We'll look forward to seeing you guys again on Tuesday. Take care. God bless.